Beyond.
Welcome to episode 51 of Podcast
51?
Beyond. We are over the hump.
51.
No, yeah, 51.
Welcome to season 2.
Yeah, this is season 2 now, I guess,
Season
whatever
2,
that means.
Podcast Beyond.
It's all downhill.
Last week on Podcast Beyond.
Yeah, I am your host, Chris Roper, editor-in-chief of the IGN PlayStation team. The whole cast is here once again. We're keeping a pretty good streak of this.
It's going to break up pretty soon.
Yep, Greg Miller's here.
What up?
Jeff Haynes is here.
Hola, mi amigos.
And Ryan Clements is here.
Hello.
Let's get the show started with the Roper Report.
Time for some news.
So, let's see. There are rumors going around that Free Radical is working on Star Wars Battlefront 3.
What?
What?
Huh? Everybody knows that Pandemic did the first 2 games, and, but Pandemic's doing their own kind of things now. They have like 4 or 5 games in the works and whatever they're doing, all kinds of crap. And so now it's been apparently turned over to somebody new. And so now Free Radical will be making Battlefront 3, apparently.
And this will be exclusive to the PSP?
No.
What?
This is from what we're hearing, this is going to be like Wii, PS3, 360, basically everything.
Okay.
So that should be pretty cool. And, I mean, if those guys take the, Time Splitters formula and just kind of make it Battlefront, could be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Rock Band 2 was confirmed. So it was announced a week or 2 ago, but it's officially confirmed now for the PS2 and PS3, along with the Wii. No specific release date for any of those versions are given. The 360 one's coming out in September, and all the other ones are coming out later in the year at some point. So sometime this year, I'm going to guess November. Seems like a safe bet. The Activision Vivendi merger has been approved.
Done.
It is done. It is in the books.
ActiBliz is in the house.
ActiBlizzard is there. Firmware 2.41 came out on, Tuesday?
Yeah.
And so now you can, do the whole in-game XMB thing if you didn't have 2.40.
Without breaking your system.
Yeah, exactly. And lastly, I know Greg is super happy about half of this one at least.
Dude.
Is that Sony has announced that there are sequels coming for Loco Roco and Patapon.
Woo!
Bring it.
Very
Patapon 2
exciting.
is happening.
Pataponage?
It's happening.
Patapone.
There you go. That's the news. Yeah, pretty decent stuff in there, but we're right before E3, so a lot of news is going to be waiting until next week to be announced. So so we're kind of catching up.
Big
on
news next week, I bet.
Exactly.
Huge.
Yeah,
Mega.
I heard the PlayStation 7 is getting announced.
Oh my god.
That's going to be awesome.
Wait, did you, I'm sorry, did you touch on the Stormrise that just got announced?
Oh,
a few minutes ago?
And Stormrise just got announced.
Yes.
Which,
From the Creative Assembly people.
Creative Assembly. And it sounds like it's going to be a,
console-focused
Rising Storm
RTS.
of RTS.
Yeah.
Should be pretty neat.
We should hear more about that one at E3,
Yes.
but apparently that came out. And I think from what it looked like for me was that it wasn't meant to come out, but it
Right.
did. But now it's
So they
everywhere.
sent the press release out.
Yeah, but now it's out. So
What is this game?
It's just an RTS of...
RTSs, huh?
Yeah,
Who knows
but it's the
what?
Creative Assembly guys, just like the Rome Total War dudes.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be cool.
They said something about, I had to skim it before the podcast, and they said something about like vertical level integration or something. I think you can have like your units placed at like different, I don't know, something like
Well,
that. That's what they're trying to do.
The
I don't
Total
know.
War games have always had elevation bonuses and stuff
Oh,
like
okay.
that. So it might be the same
Maybe
sort
it's
of thing.
a play on that then.
If they're
or something.
talking about how if you could get on top of one structure and then somehow fight dudes that are below you, like if you're up on like a wall or something, and you're fighting dudes that are like inside, like directly below you, that'd be kind of weird. I don't know how that would work, but maybe that's what it's about. Anyway, we'll see probably next week at E3. It is almost E3, but there are still games coming out that have already been announced. Greg, you have the list for us this
Yeah,
week?
there's not many though, but I have the official IGN list of upcoming PlayStation software on all 3 platforms by the IGN editors.
Beyond!
All right.
That was awesome.
PS3 has Civilization Revolution, Beijing Olympics. Roper, you've been playing that one.
2008?
You've been playing? Well, no.
Yeah. It's
1994.
Beijing 2008.
All right. How is it?
It's good.
Yeah.
I like it so far. It's not perfect, but it's good.
All right,
It's
cool.
a strong Olympics game.
SingStar released some songs today. The only one of value is The Offspring, Self-Esteem. PSP and PS2 are holding steady with nothing.
Oh, good old
Wow.
PS2, PSP.
Yep.
Did you want to also mention the iPhone app real quick, just as a late Roper report?
Okay, well, yeah, I guess we'll.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to touch on this
Might
at the
as well.
end, but
Okay, sure.
it's not really part of the Roper report. But anyway,
Hold on. This is the official IGN list of upcoming IGN software on all iPhone platforms by the IGN editors.
okay, so So if you have an iPhone or have been looking at the news, obviously the iPhone 3G comes out tomorrow on Friday the 11th, but also the 2.0 update for all iPhones and the application store is coming out. IGN has an application going up in there for free on the App Store. You can download it onto your iPhone, and basically it lets you browse. If you have the iPhone now and you look at the Facebook site or application that's on there, it kind of takes the Facebook stuff and breaks it down and makes it nice and digestible really fast. You don't have to navigate through like a full-blown web page. And the IGN app does basically the same thing. So there's little tabs for like looking at the newest reviews, looking at the newest news, things like that. It gives you a nice way to go through all the reviews and see things very quickly. And it should be pretty cool. Yeah, so if you're on the road and you're like, oh, I wonder if the Beijing review went up yet. You can go check that. You'll see if I've reviewed it at that point. And so it looks pretty cool. I haven't actually gotten it myself. I only just got 2.0 updated, so I haven't tried it yet. But I'll do that after this and read my stuff, I guess, for once. All right, pick of the week.
Pick of the week.
Is there anything?
What's
It's either
I think it's G's up, phones down with our application.
Civilization, Beijing Olympics, or The Offspring.
Civilization. Civilization's a very strong
Yeah, from
game.
what I hear, it's cool.
Yeah, so pick of the week is Civilization Revolution. Get that. Sid Meier's a legend. Play his games. There you go. Very nice man. Also,
Yes, he is.
I've met him. He's extraordinarily nice.
Very nice.
And
As is his wife.
Yeah, I've never met her actually, but
Very nice.
I grew up playing his games, and so I'm very glad that it's nice to meet people that you've sort of idolized from one perspective, like of their design and their games, stuff like that. And you meet them in real life, and they're extremely nice people.
And they're not total jerks.
Yeah, that's all. It's always very cool to see. So, good luck to that game. It's time for topic of the week. Before we get into the full-fledged topic of the week, though, we have a new segment which will come back whenever it is applicable. This is basically the opening band for topic of the week, and we're going to call it
an opening band.
Yeah, I like it. The opening act. And so this is going to be trophy tips.
Play a game called Just the Tip.
Just tip. Well, that's not right.
Do I have to censor that? Is that all right?
No, whatever. Nobody knows what that means.
All right.
We'll be talking about a Q-tip. So the idea here is that if a game just came out with a bunch of cool trophies or whatever, maybe some of them are a little hard, then we'll get, if we have some cool tips, we'll share them with you guys on how to get some stuff. Ryan Clements here, some of you on his friends list have seen that he has gotten all the trophies in Super Stardust HD.
Thank you.
Round of applause. I'm like
of luck
3
there,
shy.
too.
Yeah. So Ryan very quickly is going to help or share some tips for some of the harder ones in the game.
Yes, the one that's considered hard, but it's actually the easiest in the game is the co-op mode, because a lot of people don't realize it's the trophy. I think it's the last one. You do need the co-op pack to get it.
And another friend.
Yes, and a friend.
I bet you could do
and
it
a
without.
controller.
I think you might be able to do
Yeah,
it
if you had
without,
two controllers,
without a friend
you need
now.
2 controllers. At
Anyway,
least.
what Greg and I did is basically if you start up the Last Planet in arcade mode, co-op, split screen,
Which is the requirement.
which is the requirement, you have to keep a continuous weapon link for 3 minutes, which means your ships need to be really close to each other. And Greg and I found that if you just fly around for 3 minutes and don't shoot anything, because there's I think about 3 big asteroids that start, no enemies will come and no more asteroids as long as you don't touch those asteroids. So you guys can just sync up and fly around the planet together, and that'll get you I think it's a gold level trophy actually, very easily. The only other 2 I can say are considered the 2 of the hardest ones: Late Bloomer and Shock and Awe. Late Bloomer, you have to collect 15 bombs in, I think it's called Bomber. Is that the official
That's Bomber,
name?
yeah.
Bomber, yeah. My recommendation is you follow the bomb ship around as close as possible for as long as you can, and it'll push aside all the other asteroids in the field, and as soon as you're about to die, then you bomb right behind the bomb ship. 1 bomb will take out, the other capsules. You can collect more, and then that way you can get up to 15 pretty quickly, as long as you just keep following along the bomb ships that come down, because you can't.
How many tries did that strategy take you?
Several, many.
Okay, so it's still not
But
easy.
it was doable in 1 sitting. Like I sat down and then an hour later, after many unsuccessful attempts, I had it.
Gotcha.
And the only other one is Shock and Awe, where you have to collect 10 nukes in endless, destroy 10 nukes in endless mode. And I just recommend trying to upgrade your weapons as quickly as possible. And then as soon as a nuke comes, try and boost into it, and it, obviously it'll clear the field and allow you to have a breather. And save your bombs for the meteor showers, because it's basically an endless amount of stuff that comes down, and it's almost impossible to properly dodge it. So.
What about you have a strategy for survival too, don't you? for trying to do that 7 minutes without dying?
Yes, I just didn't want to take up too much time.
No, go
Okay,
for it.
last one.
Well, you talked about co-op, the easiest one.
No.
Everybody knows that
Well,
one.
I thought maybe some people didn't know that tip yet.
Julio Silverwolf on the wall knows about that one.
And he's a dead zombie.
Let's see. So for the other one, there's one that says that you have to survive the endless mode for 7 minutes. I think it's endless. Yes. And that's actually very easy. All you have to do is detonate the very first nuke. And then after the nuke is detonated, randomly the next wave that'll come will be a small fleet of little red diamond dudes and a bunch of blue asteroid rings on the top of the planet. As long as you see that and you don't kill anything, you can again fly around for 7 minutes. And as long as you keep
Just
those
let them
little
chase
red,
you.
as long as you can just let them chase you and you don't kill any of them, no other enemies or asteroids will come. And if you detonate that first nuke and a different type of wave comes, just reset it and start again, because that first nuke comes in like maybe a minute or so it's not very time consuming.
I use this strategy, and it mostly worked for me. There are the little green mines around the planet,
Right.
and you need to avoid those because if the mines, the little red dudes would just run into them, kill themselves, and if enough get
Suicide.
destroyed, then more enemies started coming.
Right.
So the last 2 minutes that I had going, it was just pure chaos, and I just managed to survive.
And you did, yeah, you did
I
it
managed,
anyway.
I managed to pull it off, but
Exemplary skill.
yeah. So try to stay clear of everything, and
Yes.
there
You
you
have to
go.
lead them around the empty space at the bottom of the planet.
There you
and
go.
They will survive.
That is the opening act.
Trophy tips.
We gotta let's pause now for 15 minutes while we set up the main stage.
Okay. Check one. This podcast check.
Check.
This is the dumbest thing we've done.
All right,
Yeah, all right, stop that.
all right. Let's get
Season
right.
2 sucks.
God.
Let's get right into topic of the week.
We've already
of the
jumped the
week.
shark.
Next week is E3. Clearly, topic of the week has to be about E3, I guess. Otherwise, we'd be fired by Jeremy, I guess, or something. I don't know if that would
Ryan
be true,
guess.
but Ryan guess will fire us.
Kerr punches through the wall and pulls me in.
Yeah.
Yep.
So E3 is next week. Let's just right quick off the top. Greg, what game are you most looking forward to out on any system?
Infamous.
Infamous.
Yep.
Jeff?
Fallout 3.
Ryan?
I haven't seen Little Big Planet yet, so I'd like to play it for like a few
Be
minutes.
owned.
I know.
Man.
I haven't
behind
played
the
it yet.
times.
Just totally behind.
For me, I got to go probably Fallout. Probably Fallout 3. Although I'm very excited about Infamous. One of those two. So
Infamous?
So no one's
Infamous.
excited about Prototype anymore? They're like the same premise.
Well,
I
it
know-
got,
yeah,
it got
but-
delayed and whatever.
Prototype's
Yeah,
been pushed off for one.
well,
Yeah.
Out of sight, out of mind, bro.
the thing too is we've already seen a bunch of Prototype. We know
Exactly,
next
yeah.
to nothing about Infamous right now. So
Yeah, but the other part with it too is that Prototype, you're just a badass and you don't care about anybody. Infamous, at least it sounds like you have the prospect to either be good or be evil. So there's at least a little bit of a moral choice that you have. Whereas
I don't know.
like
There's some
Mercer,
of them
you're
just
just
sort of
trying
I
to kill
read like an extended premise on what. I don't know. There's a very menacing face looking through our door right now. Just gonna throw that out there.
Stay on track.
Stay on target.
This is a test for E3. This is the kind of crap you can't let get in the way.
And apparently he's
Menacing
failing it.
face shows up at E3 and you fall apart. Who would have guessed it?
I know, but what are you talking about? I
Yeah.
didn't fall apart at all. I made a delightful comment.
What was your
But
delightful
anyway,
comment?
Anyway, all I'm saying is that I
Your
read a
face is a
premise.
delightful
I read a
comment.
premise for Prototype.
Okay.
And it sounded very, very similar to Infamous. Like it was an extended look at the story. I think it was in a print mag or something, but it just sounded just sounded exactly the same.
I disagree wholeheartedly.
No,
I've seen. Well, I mean, I guess the problem is that I've seen in her. I've done me and Jeff have both done hands-ons with Prototype and seen it. And I guess not hands-on, just eyes-on.
Yeah.
Anyways, we've seen it and talked to people about the story and stuff. And from what it sounds like, I agree with Jeff that it sounds like Infamous is going to be much more character-driven as far as you have these powers. We've all read the same magazine. You have these powers, and you need to worry about how you want to deal with them and how you want to deal with people and people's perceptions of you. Whereas Prototype's totally a chameleon game, blend in to survive your elements. Like you can go ahead and take over and fight with the army and look like an army guy, but they're gonna still try to kill you if you look like normal Prototype guy.
Yeah, and the other part, like I was saying, is that there is a definite moral side of it. I mean, like Infamous, there is a section at which you basically decide to either be good or be evil, from what I've heard. Whereas in Prototype, Alex is always like he doesn't care. Like morality does not enter into it. He can go through and slaughter every single person in the city and not feel bad about it whatsoever. And I don't think that's the entire setup behind Infamous at all.
You're a superhero in Infamous or a supervillain, and you're a monster in Prototype.
Well, clearly I was mistaken.
Moving on
Or
to
not,
the
or I was
let's
right.
talk about the bigger picture of the Sony versus Microsoft versus Nintendo versus no one on the PC side.
iPhone.
Oh.
And then,
Oh. Anyway,
does anybody think that iPhone's actually going to have a significant
No.
presence at the show? I think it's gonna
No.
83? No.
Be, yeah.
Not this year.
I think there's going to be piddly games.
if
left and
Song
right
Summoner
every
is
once in a while.
there, then it's
no.
going to be wicked.
No.
I don't even know what Song Summoner is.
But
Not this year.
so, what do you guys think are the chances of who do you think is going to probably put on the best show here?
Sony.
You think Sony?
I do. I mean, the problem is, of course, is that we're Sony guys, so we know way more about what's happening with Sony there. But I still stick to my thing that I'm just not too excited for Microsoft's lineup, from what they said for the upcoming year. Whereas Sony, I'm very interested to see where they're going to take everything. Because I'm interested to see Resistance 2, obviously. Killzone's going to have some kind of presence. I know a couple things that are being announced and shown at the press conference that have me very excited. Infamous, stuff like that. I mean, it just sounds like, not to mention, with all due respect to everyone, I mean, they're still behind. They have the most to gain from this E3 as far as coming out and saying, here's what we're doing, it's awesome, blah, blah. And I mean, Microsoft, granted, has rumors of a price drop for the 360, and, there's going to be Gears of War 2, stuff like that, Fable 2. I mean, stuff you want to see and hear about. But I think that overall, Sony has more big stuff to actually come out and say, we're very excited about Little Big Planet, Home, this, that, and everything else, and have solid release dates, hopefully, stuff like that.
Yeah, and from my perspective, it doesn't seem like Nintendo's going to have a whole.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, Nintendo has already launched almost all of its huge franchises on the Wii, and so you figure it's going to be probably none for some of those. Like, you're probably not going to see another Mario game. Maybe you'll see another Metroid. Probably not going to see another Smash Brothers game. So you're like,
Everybody's thinking Kid Icarus.
yeah, everybody's
But
thinking
if they
Kid Icarus.
butcher it,
Yeah, which I don't know, it will probably be cool when it comes out. But then if they're just talking about casual stuff and have another like Wii Fit type
Exactly.
thing, then
They're gonna come out and they're
Man,
gonna
some new peripheral.
have a big franchise, whether it be another like Kid Icarus or some other revival, Bubble Bobble or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bubble Revival.
that would be
I mean,
rad.
they'll have that, and then they're gonna have casual, and then they're gonna have a bunch of little
back
nifty
Red Racer.
titles. Mad World, or is it just Mad World? I
Mad
forget.
World.
That
Mad
looks
World.
really cool. I mean,
It
I'm
does.
sure that'll have a presence there.
Looks pretty
somehow.
awesome.
I mean,
Yeah.
So they're gonna have stuff there, but I think they're gonna have like two shots, kind of like they
Yeah.
did last year with here's. A release date for Brawl, a release date for Kart, which we won't keep to for any of this, and then Wii Fit.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement on that one. Microsoft, I think, to me, it seems like we kind of already know that Microsoft's going to have, Fable and Gears and all those sorts of things, and I don't know if they're going to have a whole lot of surprises at the show. I mean, they could do something like Mass Effect 2. They could do, something along those lines, but at that point, you're saying, well, we've already, we just played Mass Effect, and we kind of already know kind of where it would be going. It'd be awesome to see it. I'd love to see that game there. But I think Sony has the kind of things they could pull out of left field that nobody's expecting. And the franchise revivals we haven't seen in a while, or whatever else. And I think Sony's more potential to come out with the big guns than anybody else does.
Yeah,
really, I think.
yeah.
I think Microsoft is probably the surest bet for a strong showing, but probably not an extremely great one. And I think Sony can do that.
Well, I think
So-
it'll probably be strong, but it might be just like, okay. Like,
Yeah.
that might be just the feeling of it is like, well, those would be good.
Yeah.
But, it's not necessarily going to be anything that'll be like,
Blow your mind.
mind-blowing or anything because, like, the price drop everybody's expected. There have been so many, like, screenshots on the
leaked
web
photos
about,
of
like,
GameStop ads and
like
stuff.
the price is dropping. So everybody's like, oh, okay, so the price drops. Cool.
There are a couple things
But-
that people already know about that could come out that could be really cool, like Peter Jackson's Halo project. They could show that, and it could be absolutely amazing.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, so that has that sort of potential. But I mean,
But
again,
I think, like, Sony has, aside from, like, carrying momentum from last year, where, like, literally from the press conference from last year, it was like, okay, this could be awesome. And this could be, like, the entire part that literally turns everything completely around, starts them back up on their rise up.
And it's happening
Like,
somehow.
and it's happening, but, like,
Took too long.
this could be one of those where literally they go, okay, yeah, we were behind a little bit. We're catching up, but here's where we actually put in our kick, and like we see the finish line, but this is where our kick starts coming in. And We've given everybody else a chance, and now
you've been watching too
we're
much
rolling
Beijing
our
2008.
Maybe I have, or I've been watching enough track and field, so I've been watching a lot of sprints and everything.
There you go.
But like they could decide to roll out like the movie service. They could decide to roll out an upgraded PSN. They could decide to finally roll out Home. They could decide to roll out like some games that nobody's even had an idea about. Like now that 8 Days and Getaway are canceled, SCE like London could decide, oh yeah, here's 2 or 3 things that were rolling out. Here's Africa finally. This is exactly what the hell this thing
Africa,
is.
game of the show.
Like, you know, they could roll out so many things and go, this is why, like, you go Sony. To hell with everybody else. Like, these are the megatons that we have.
Yeah.
Clementon.
Megaton.
And also, there's the very outside chance that we could see the next Team Eco project there.
That's true.
I'm assuming it's going to be a TGS release or an announcement, but you know, we could see it at the show, which would be a massive thing.
Yeah. Although, do you think that I think that in some way there's probably going to be at least 1, maybe 2 announcements of something that would be exclusive, or at least like trying to tie up something that would be exclusive, like to PS3, just like they have. I mean, like.
God of War 3 has been thrown around as possibly being at the show, so that could be one of them.
Yeah, I mean, that one's an obvious.
Yeah,
but I'm thinking about like something that everybody thought might be a multi-platform, that it would be like, okay, this is going to be exclusive for whatever coming out at this point.
See, the thing is, I mean, outside of, well, I mean, you could see the next Naughty Dog game, which would be a huge one if they announce like Uncharted 2 or whatever they're working on.
There's also that Rockstar Sony project that nobody has really heard or seen anything about.
They could. Rockstar could come out and say, "Hey, here's some content we're doing for Grand Theft Auto for PS3 only," which would be possible. I think that's very unlikely, but that could happen. I mean, yeah, there's lots of things could happen. Insomniac could hint at whatever they're doing next time, which they did that at GDC, where they showed off Resistance when it was the first Resistance we'll still be working on, and then they also showed a trailer for Ratchet at the time, and you're like, okay, cool, this game's coming soon, this game's coming later. They could kind of try to pull one of those things and show like a bit of the next Ratchet game or whatever else they're doing. So that could be pretty cool. So lots of cool things could happen. Ryan, you want to add any thoughts to this? You've been quiet.
I was a little disappointed that, well, I guess it was obvious, but there was no version of Final Fantasy 13 on Square's official list of what they're going to be available at the show.
Yeah.
You said that it was more likely that it would be at TGS, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming that there's going to be a TGS thing. There's also rumors that Square is going to have their own deal in Japan at some point during the year to only show off those games.
Okay, well, that would be cool.
Or maybe the other line, but
yeah, I mean, like otherwise, I think just because I always have my eyes on them because I like some of their stuff, they're gonna have Last Remnant and Infinite Undiscovery there. Only Last Remnant is applicable to PS3 though. I'm interested to see if that's coming along at all, or not.
Gotcha.
But on the other hand, like in the same vein, it would be interesting to see if they actually say anything about White Knight's story.
Oh yeah,
which
I keep forgetting about that because there's nothing there.
It basically it crops up and then nobody ever hears anything about it. And like even at last year's TGS, they said something will be coming about it soon. God knows if that soon is E3 or if it's another TGS that we'd have to wait for. But or White Knight Chronicles or Story?
No, your Story.
I think it's Story.
Right.
White Knight Story.
Now, here's an interesting difference between what I think is going to happen at the Microsoft conference versus what I think is going to happen at the Sony conference. It seems like a lot of what Microsoft has a bunch of first-party exclusive stuff or whatever, but it also seems like, from what I've been hearing internally, is that there's going to be a lot of cross-platform stuff shown there, and so it'll look like 360 is the highlight system for that game or whatever, even though it's also coming to the PS3. I'm wondering if Sony's going to show off too many cross-platform games and kind of premiere them at their end. Maybe they come out and they say, "Here's the next, I don't know, whatever," and just show something off there and highlight and say, "Hey, say they show like Fight Night Round 4, and say the PS3 is kind of like the premier platform for this. They show off whatever Criterion's doing next." Here's Black 2 or, the next Burnout or something. Yeah. And even if those were to be cross-platform games, you'd be like, oh, cool. Sony is kind of,
Although, like, they kind of did something a little bit like that with last year's press conference because shortly after they put up the video of all the cross-platform games and then exclusive games that were coming.
Yeah.
But it was primarily the PS3 footage that they were trying to take with those cross-platform games.
Yeah.
Just to show off, like, hey, it's practically the exact same thing. Don't even worry about it if you have it. Although the thing that will be interesting, especially now, is what their PSP stance is going to be, because we haven't heard anything, and because things have been relatively light. I mean, last year, that was where we actually found Patapon. That was where we started to see Echochrome, even though we didn't know that it was PS3, PSP.
Yeah, and this one was announced.
Yeah, I mean, this is where, we could actually see a new resurgence of things, like all the stuff that we've been told about that will be coming at the tail end. It's like, okay, here's where you start rolling out your big gun on PSP and say, like, you're going to have however many UMDs coming out at the end of the year or whatever.
It's almost too quiet, eerily quiet.
Yes, it's almost like right before a funeral. And,
Oh,
and then,
wow.
And then a birth.
What?
We'll see.
A birth at a funeral?
She wasn't dying. She was pregnant.
Yeah.
Oh man.
2 different people.
Just the tip.
One dies, another is born.
You're saying one to
Lightning crash.
Any last thoughts on that?
A live reference. Wow.
Any last thought before we move on? My chair is totally lopsided with respect to its arms here. This is messed up. Oh god, I just lowered it.
And hopefully they'll actually mention something about like classic PSN games coming out on PSN, or like PS1 games coming out on PSN.
You know what I really want to see also is this is kind of a small thing but also a big one is PS3 choice games or whatever you want to call them.
Oh yeah, greatest hits.
Greatest hits. Yeah, it's it. And I want to see some of these games come out for $30. I can go back and I mean that'd be a big thing if people right now they say I'm going to buy a PS3, but I don't have a whole lot of money, so I can only buy 2 games. If you say, look, buy the PS3 now, you can get Resistance for cheap, you can get Uncharted for cheap, all these other games.
If they do trophy sport too.
Yeah,
if they could say that they're like, hey, guess what? Uncharted's getting patched and it'll be out next week or whatever. Warhawk. If they could do like all those kind of patch updates, that'd be cool.
I'm like I said, I'm still pushing for PS1 games because today in Japan they have Brave Fencer Musashi out on the store for like 800 yen. And it's like, come on, seriously. Like if you're just rolling out like all these old PS1 games that people would love to play. Yeah. Hook us up with a little bit of that, will you please? Just Europe and the U.S. just asking for a classic. Could you hook a brother up?
Yeah.
Could you please, Sony?
Nice job.
Very good. Let's move on. PSN update for the week.
Yep.
Any news from Zombie Blognack?
Yeah, Zombie Blognack has only a few. There's going to be 4 demos today, including Siren Blood Curse. You get a little taste of the remake.
If they fix that camera. Fix that camera. I'm looking forward to this
it's
demo.
impossible to play a game when the camera is looking at the back of the dude's head and only the back of his head.
Then you rotate it, like, just swivels so freaking fast.
I don't know. Who knows? There's also going to be the Rainbow Six Vegas expansion pack and Burnout Paradise. The Cagney update is,
Codename
of course,
Cagney.
up now.
If something gets out, does it really have a code name anymore? Because now it's out. Shouldn't it have like an official name? They should have been like.
You'd think, but I mean, like there's some people that still refer to like
Watergate.
Yeah, well,
They
Simon Phipps, that designer that posts on the blog, keeps referring to it as codename Cagney. Like on today's post.
Well, no, I mean I know it's the final name, but it seems like something that has a code name when it comes out shouldn't have a code name.
Well, yeah, but like even like old Mac OSs, like sometimes when people write it up, they still refer to it as the code name along with whatever the version name is.
Yeah.
Don't do that, stupid Mac writers. You're dumb.
Greg at IGN.
All right, so there we go. Now it's time for some reader mail.
Reader mail.
Mail call.
Chain mail.
Mail time.
We got an extended packet here. I had to go through.
Female.
Sean 9986 says, do you guys expect to see any games that are thought to be multi-platform that will become timed exclusive or exclusives at this year's E3? Examples were Haze and Unreal Tournament 3 started out as multi-platform titles and then wound up being Sony exclusives permanently or timed. I don't know of any that would fit that category right now. I think
Resistance 2.
Resistance 2 could be one. No, I think that I don't know. Exclusives are becoming more and more far and rare. So
yeah, it's pretty hard to actually pin one down. I mean, most likely it'd be something that hadn't actually been announced, but then they just decide to like roll it out because most of the multi-console ones, we already know that they are multi-console, and everybody that we've talked to has already explicitly stated it will be a multi-console thing.
I'm gonna be kind of surprised if we see something, but maybe we will. Monkey Rooney says he owns a Wii, although he's becoming disillusioned with it. He says the games that he wanted when he got it have already been released, and unless something great is announced at E3, he's seriously considering buying a PS3. He says, would you suggest holding off for the time being or making the plunge? He's never played a Metal Gear game before, but a Perfect 10 is a pretty good reason to.
Come to the dark side.
I think don't buy it this weekend. Wait until Sony's conference goes down, but at that point they'll say whether there's going to be a price drop or not, or whatever else. And I think
if there's a new SKU coming,
things like that. I think after you kind of wait for the announcements hardware-wise and see what lies on the horizon, then make your judgment whether you should, if it's okay to buy right now. Maybe something's available. Or maybe they say something's coming out in August and you want to wait for that. Then cool. But I mean, there's no reason to really wait much longer. So
I think now's a pretty good time to get a PS3, or at least after Sony talks about cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it
seems like the system's going really well.
Yeah, and not to mention Blu-ray support. Batman Begins just came out on Blu-ray.
Booyah!
Gotta go get that one. Passions of Short, which, by the way, I have a ticket to go see Dark Knight at 12:37 a.m. in the morning. So I'm excited. You guys all turned it down.
Yep.
Oh, well.
I promised to see it with my wife.
Yep. I know that one.
Well, the readers didn't.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
no,
thinking I hate Batman.
No. I mean,
I see what you said. You can sympathize.
I can sympathize with that one.
Okay.
I had to do it for Indiana Jones and did it for I Am Legend.
There.
Passions of Shorty says, Greg, is there any reason I should care about SmackDown vs. Raw 2009? Says he previously played every single SmackDown game going back to the PS1, but he did not purchase SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 because, in his words, it was utter crap. Says, give me a reason to want to invest in a THQ wrestling product. He's really leaning more towards TNA Impact right now. To quote him, he says, "What thinks you?"
It's hard for me to say because we have our pre-E3 exclusive hands-on with it going up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which is Friday if you're listening to this in the Time Void. So
Time Voids?
tomorrow, I think it would be pretty clear as far as my main thoughts on 09. Jumping back to, I don't know why he skipped 08. He said it was utter crap, but he didn't say why. If he didn't like the control scheme, then no, because THQ has been adamant since WrestleMania that we're going to have new features and new cool stuff, but the controls are pretty much going to stay the same. You know what I mean? So it's still the same analog stick deal as far as movement and grappling that way. I liked it a lot last year as far as that being the scheme. I had fun with it, and so I'm looking forward to what they're going to do with the franchise this year. TNA, of course, is neat. THQ hasn't had serious competition in a long time in the wrestling game franchise, at least on a big publisher on the U.S. side. So it's nifty to see what they're going to do. Of course, though, TNA's been very upfront again about that. This is their first time, and that this isn't going to be the next SmackDown. They're not going to be able to put those much features in it. They're like, we're focusing on gameplay, so hopefully it'll play tight and the controls will be good and everybody like that. And from what I've played, when I play it, I'm playing beta builds and whatnot, and not stuff that's super retail. So a lot of the wrestlers feel the same, but I think that's something they definitely want to change. They're talking about all the animations they put in there. It looks really good. The characters look really, really good in it. But sometimes the little stuff you notice, like when you're playing SmackDown, you'll throw somebody down, you'll see the apron pump out when the mat, snaps and the air from underneath goes out. That wasn't in the TNA builds I was playing, which kind of took me out of the moment there. You'll see a foot go through something. But again, those are way early preview builds, so it's hard to say.
Yeah.
So there's no way to call a winner now or say what you do. But I would read tomorrow's preview, and then we'll have, obviously, TNA previews coming up around E3 time. So
basically, the short of it is you're saying don't make an opinion right now.
Don't go pre-order right now.
Yeah, just
wait until next Friday, and then you'll have both previews in the can, hopefully, and you'll be able to say what you want to do.
But I would still say don't pre-order until the game's about to come out.
No, not me.
Yeah.
Stick by your choices. I love my Sega CD, and I will not stop playing it.
There you go.
Sega CD?
Indeed.
Wow.
Bredesen says, to all, what is our short and long-term outlook? Outlook for the PSP. Affleck. Ben, where does Sony go from here in general terms in the handheld space? As we kind of already mentioned in the topic of the week, it looks like the PSP is dying. So
I mean, the short term would not be good. I mean, you look at the review list right now, and it's mainly ports or watered down. I'm putting in air quotes versions of stuff you're already seeing. Like it's like, hey, here's a PS2 version, and then here's a PSP, or like a giant. Here we're putting on every platform.
Yep.
Which usually doesn't bode that well, but that's there's exceptions to the rule all the time with that. Long term, I mean, if you wanted to go off hopefully you're thinking long term that they're going to announce something next week that'll make you be like, oh, thank God I have a Slim, or thank God that Patapon 2, Loco Roco 2, those are two great reasons to hold on to it. And then when we had the interview when we were doing the state of the PSP, Sony was talking about how they're going around and people are excited about it, and that they're talking down the road you're going to see changes. So hopefully at E3 you'll see these announcements of games that you're going to be looking at come fall or whatever.
In 9 to 10 months, we'll have that GPS that we've been looking forward to.
Man.
Flying Piranha 2K4 says, Final Fantasy 13, any news or info or assumptions?
No.
As we already mentioned, it's not going to be at E3.
I assume it'll be a role-playing game.
But we don't want to assume because that would make an ass out of you and me.
Oh, okay.
But yes, I can confirm. I just got this off the wire. Confirm that it's going to be a role-playing game.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Pwned Ryan.
It may or may not have guns and swords together as one weapon.
Yes, that's a possibility.
wow.
May also have
Summoning.
May have
guys that
something.
look like girls.
Oh.
But that's a question mark. We'll see.
Cool, like girls who.
That's all we know for now.
who look like guys.
Exactly.
Also, it will probably be pretty good. But that's we'll see how that goes.
I think it'll be very good.
Yeah.
Or it could be
And people
awful.
might be interested in it as well. That also is.
I think it has
maybe.
a moderate fan base.
I think it also does. Yes, we'll have to. We'll dig into this Final Fantasy thing that here. We'll try to figure out what we're talking about here.
Right.
It's a little. I've never
it's an
heard-
enigma.
There will
It
be
is.
a chocobo and somebody names it.
Yeah.
and sarcasm.
Jurger says, are we going to see any DLC/updates for Gran Turismo 5 prologue, such as cars, tracks, etc.? That's a good question. So it was assumed that there was going to be, in some fashion, the whole Gran Turismo, prior to full 5 release has been kind of weird because they announced Gran Turismo HD. Then they said that was going to be, you're going to get like a couple cars and like a track, and you'd pay for all the other cars. And then they said, screw that, here's a bunch of crap. Then they just gave you GT HD on one. Then they announced Prologue, and you get Prologue, and then they said, well, maybe there's downloadable stuff coming, but there hasn't been any announcements. In an interview earlier this year, Kazunori said that they were trying to add damage to the game as a download that would happen sometime in the fall. So that's the last that we know, is that there may be damage coming in the fall. I would be surprised if we don't hear something somewhere or the other on the Gran Turismo franchise at E3. So maybe we'll get some sort of update then.
Well, supposedly they were saying summer 2009, so...
Yeah, that's for the full game.
For the full.
But for Prologue, I don't know. It'd be kind of cool if they said, "Hey, this fall we're gonna release a car pack that has like 40 cars and a couple extra tracks,
Right?
And it's like $10 or something to kind of
GT5 epilogue.
There you go,
Oh.
epilogue. Prologue 2, the main log or something.
The Wrath of Log.
Epilogue to prologue.
American Ninja 1 says, "Do you guys have any new info about Twisted Metal PS3? Do we think it'll be shown at this year's E3?"
That's a good question.
Yeah,
Maybe they will show that. I haven't heard of that in a while.
Yeah,
since-
That would be pretty sweet.
I honestly, even given all my inside stuff, have not heard anything from Sony about the game being shown at E3. That doesn't mean that it won't be. So it could be kind of one of their big things that they show off. It could be pretty cool. I'm kind of hoping that it is, because that's one of those franchises that Sony could bring back and really kick things out of the water and say, check it out. We have this huge catalog of stuff we don't have to hit all the time, and we can still bring them back. And
that would be a huge surprise too, if all of a sudden you have like a Sweet Tooth emblazoned on the screens.
Yeah, I hope to God they don't have somebody drive out.
I hope they do. Dressed as Sweet Tooth.
Sweet Tooth.
It's like the Cliffy
In a
B
nice
thing.
pink dress.
And he just drives through the
Oh, that's
screen.
gonna
Hi,
be terrible.
guys. Twisted Metal's coming to
It would be rad
when he fakes.
You
when he
could
fakes
have a
sawing through
chainsaw. I'm...
God, that was. Oh my God.
Orbital 74 says, Wipeout HD. When? That's a very good question. So as we talked about last week on the podcast, Sony releases games when they're done on the PlayStation Network. There's basically, as soon as it's done, it's up on the next Thursday. So it's really hard to tell when a release is coming, other than they kind of say, hey, we hope that it's coming out here. We haven't heard that for Wipeout in a while, but it should be fairly soon. I'm imagining at E3 they're going to say it's coming out, in the next month or two. If not available during E3, if they I would actually not be surprised at all if during the press conference they said, guess what, Wipeout's out right now. And they just put it up on the store. But for coming this Thursday.
We
or
all,
whatever.
we all just get up and run out.
but
We didn't care.
From what I know, it won't be. I know one that is going to be, and it's not Wipeout HD.
Okay.
Is it Patapon 2?
No.
Is it Patapon 1.5?
No.
Patapon Epilogue?
No.
Patapad 1 PS3.
Pataloco, no.
Logo.
Big Boss X Hunter says, what games do you want to have trophies, and when is Pixel Junk Eden coming out? It looks cool. Can't wait to play it. Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy.
So the Pixel Junk Eden part, it's apparently early August. That's about as much as we know. We have a build here in the office, and
It's really cool.
yeah, it's cool, and it looks rather complete from what we're playing, so it can't be too far off. As far as what games we want to have trophies, and
Every game.
yeah, but let's talk real quickly about games that are already out and
Already
want to
out.
see patched.
Yeah.
I think Resistance, the first one, I think I really think that's kind of a must-have, because then you get people, like I said before, to go back and play the game again to get trophies, and then you get them pumped up for Resistance too.
Uncharted.
Uncharted.
Yeah,
Uncharted,
love another one.
fantastic,
Uncharted.
same thing as well.
I'm very excited for the Warhawk patch.
I'm excited for the Burnout one.
Yeah.
To be totally honest, I'd play through Folklore again if they had trophies.
There you go.
Not to bring up the beast of the past, but I think I'd enjoy
What about
it.
I Have Judgment?
I think I feel like I'm content
done
with
with
that.
that one?
I'm
Okay.
satisfied.
Yeah.
Yep. I can move
Oh,
on.
SingStar.
There you go.
Come on.
What kind of
but
trophies?
how could you trophy SingStar?
You
like, get a
got
certain
you have
score?
X number of hit artist things. You have the high score on 14
you make
songs.
this much of an ass out of yourself in
You've
video?
downloaded X number of songs.
Yeah, and you can even just do stupid ones to kind of get you in there.
Yeah.
So like, record a video, and then you get a bronze or something for it. Which those ones are cool because they get you to go play
They
the
do
game.
something you don't normally do. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They get you hook up your camera and try with the game, and you say, "Oh, okay, cool. Now this is addictive," and you give them another bronze for uploading it, and then then now it gets them in that swing.
Now
and
buy 1,500 songs and get the gold trophy.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I think also Prologue should have them.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Like
that's a
there's
great
absolutely no reason why Prologue would not or should not have them.
one. Modilla2 says, which game is more graphically impressive, Uncharted or Ratchet? It's a very interesting question. Both these games are already out for a long time. For me, it's a two-sided thing. Uncharted does more with a lot of effects. You get real-time lighting and all these kind of things. Ratchet is the cleaner-looking game, though, and it looks very much like an animated movie. There
were times, though, when I was playing Ratchet on a pretty big TV, and it would be like, it just looks so I understand for the cartoons. I understand how cartoons look, but there's not that much HUD going on, and they're like these giant blank sides of buildings that are supposed to be blank because that's just what they're going for.
Right.
It got boring.
Agree.
I felt.
I think actually the one moment that I've been entirely floored, like this generation, the current generation, is right at the beginning of Uncharted when you finally get to the top of a cliff face and look out underneath a waterfall and you can basically see the entire horizon of the jungle and stuff. That one moment I just thought looked so spectacular. I could not believe that was actually happening.
I just thought there was a lot more eye candy for Uncharted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was never looking at it and I was never visually bored. Even though you're running and grass will pop in or something like that, or there's don't get me wrong, there's problems and stuff, but. There was, Ratchet. I was like, meh.
Well, I think the character models with Uncharted were truly
awesome.
Phenomenal.
Yeah,
especially
just the way they tied it into cutscenes, motion
how
capture,
they were presented in
voices
cutscenes.
and people.
Ratchet,
that was awesome.
Ratchet was very, very sweet, primarily because it felt like it was definitely evolution of PS2.
No, I really liked it.
And
well, I'm not knocking the game.
And everything else.
All right, so I think we're all going to go with Uncharted on this one. I don't know if we can say this guy's name on the thing, but Itchy Frosty Ball says, if rumors are to be true, Microsoft will reveal that the 360 will have a price cut to $300. It looks like that's happening because there's all kinds of flyers and stuff coming out from stores. Looks pretty solid at this point. If Microsoft reveals this at their E3 press conference, do you think Sony will be pressured into doing the same the very next day, which they've done before, or will they stick it out since they've already lost over $3 billion on the price of the PS3 alone?
We don't know.
That's a tough one. I think what's going to happen is, or the smarter move from Sony, although this would be really hard to just announce immediately, is to, rather than drop the price on the system because they're already losing so much money, is to start bundling in games that they're not making more money off of already, and make it a better value to the gamer without actually taking too much of a hit internally.
Yeah.
So you throw in MotorStorm and throw in Resistance in the package. Now you've got what's, before, if there's any, the choice games or whatever, any of the greatest hits or whatever, then you have $120 worth of games plus the system, and then you can say, okay, well, if the PS3 is equal to the 360 in terms of dollar numbers, whatever, excluding Blu-ray and all that kind of crap, and you say, okay, the PS3 would be worth $300 compared to 360. Then I also get $120 worth of games, and it's for $400.
Yeah.
So it would seem like a very good deal, I think.
Yeah, MotorStorm, another one that deserves trophies. But one of the things that they could also do, especially if they decide to introduce a new SKU, is just do fire sale. Every 40 gig must go, or whatever, and just clear it out and then go hey, 80 gig coming or 120 gig or whatever else coming.
That's basically loaned money that they have out in stores, and they need that money back.
True.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Sean9986 says, rumors about RE5 going time exclusive for the for the 360 surfaced a few weeks ago. Do you guys think this is true or no? Do we expect Resident Evil to have a big presence at E3? Yes, it'll have a big presence at E3. We're sure of this one. But timed exclusive, I would be surprised. But, I guess it's not totally out of the question, but I'd be surprised.
All right.
Where are we at in here? I think that's all of them. That's all the emails. Oh, wait, no. Oh, no, that's back to the beginning again. I could repeat them if we want. Let me keep this page open, though, because I got one we're going to come back to here in a second.
Ooh, that's new. It's exciting.
Well, somebody put out a request for a hit. To hit himself. No, he wants to get hit. So I want to call it out to him. Then he can report back to us in a week and find out how many people got hit. Because now we know that this guy is a listener, and then he's going to write back to us and tell us how many people tried to kill him.
Okay.
So.
Pretty rad.
Yeah, so we'll come back to that in a second.
Come back to it.
You might know who you are already if you're listening to the show, and you might already be dead.
Oh my God.
Smack down.
Beatdown is our one this week, right before E3.
That's actually something Greg wanted to talk about.
Exactly. I've dumped my lesser half, Ryan Clements, and picked up the better half, Jeff Haynes.
Word.
You didn't
Jeff
say I
Haynes.
was done permanently.
Jeff Haynes
You're
and
done.
I are blowing the lid off Editor Beatdown because we are going to officially do an NCAA Football
Dynasty
09 Dynasty Beatdown. If you're not familiar with this title yet, it is not out. However, Jeff and I are playing a lot of it and enjoying it quite a bit. I am, at least. Jeff's reviewing it, so you can't say if he hates it or loves it. And what you can do in this, obviously, start online dynasties where you play, as long as you want, basically. But we're going to do one season.
Up to 60 years, actually.
There you go. Up to 60.
Online.
Look at this guy. Like he knows something about the game.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Anyways, so Jeff and I are inviting 10 readers to come play 1 year of virtual football with us in the Big 12. We will all be Big 12 teams, so we're all in the same conference. We all play for the Big 12 championship and stuff along those lines. The way you get into this, obviously, though, is going to be tough. 10 slots.
Indeed.
We have at least a dozen Podcast Beyond fans. So there's some contention here.
In a few countries around the world.
Obviously, don't be retarded. You need the game to play this. You need PS3. You need to already make the commitment ahead of time that you will go out next week and buy NCAA Football 2009 on the PS3. What will happen, though, you need to then send me a letter at my IGN email, gmailer@ign.com, telling me, showing me, proving your dedication to college football. I put up examples of writing poems. A kid already sent in a rap. You could put up a video, send in a song, whatever you want to do, some way, prove that you're dedicated. Jeff and I will go through these when the deadline comes around, which is Tuesday, July 22nd. We will pick our 10 favorites, and then Jeff will announce them on Podcast Beyond.
Yep.
July 24th, and then we'll start that sometime around July 28th. That week of July 28th, we will make sure we get this kicked off. Sorry, it's late, I know. E3, Comic-Con, in and out of the office. Can't
Exactly,
get it going.
and to also put a little twist on it, because it is going to be essentially a full virtual year, we're going to try to go through the games as quickly as possible. So we're not going to try and have multiple days where there's just like a gap or whatever.
Yeah, we'd like to do it.
We'd like to basically do like one game, maybe give a day off, then another game, day off or whatever, and we'll figure out all that out and give you more of those details as time goes on.
I mean, it's not gonna. We're gonna try to do it fast, not a breakneck pace. So don't worry if you have a job or a test coming up, we can work around it. Especially seeing as how you have to communicate with another player to figure out a time to play.
Exactly, and because of that, like we're gonna try and get through the Big 12 and then move on to possibly the SEC or some other conference.
Yeah, we'd like to do this again.
Other people have chances to play in the dynasty and represent a completely different team.
How it'll go to is that you submit your things, we pick the 10 winners, and then in the order in which the 10 winners submitted their things, we will contact them to pick their next teams.
Exactly.
I am Mizzou, of course. Jeff is going to be
Sooner?
Oklahoma Sooners. So there you go.
Now say everything like that except in the beatdown voice.
I don't do the beatdown voice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Too good for it?
Beatdown versus yours. So now you repeat what he said in his beatdown voice.
Exactly.
Well, and that no.
Not even gonna try.
Okay, back to the PSN hit
Of the week.
So Big Boss X Hunter, who wrote in and he had a question for us this week. I forget what he asked, but anyway, something about something or another.
Yeah.
Some question.
Burnout?
What I forget what it was. It doesn't matter. Here he goes. He wanted to know. Trophies in Eden. He says he wants to be PSN hit of the week. We're gonna make him that. Okay. And so Big Boss X Hunter, please write back to us on.
Is that his PSN name?
No. I'll give it in a second. Write back to us next week. Around say Wednesday, and tell us how it's gone. How many people have found you in games? How many people have yelled beyond to you?
Yep.
How many people have added you onto your list, etc., etc.
See if it actually makes a difference.
We want to see if this makes a difference.
Yeah, boy.
Big Boss X Hunter's PSN name is quite simply Big Boss X.
Okay.
So no spaces or anything. BIGBOSSX.
BIG.
So
PSN hit confirmed.
Yep. So add him to your thing, get a hit out on him, go kill him in a bunch of games, buy whatever games he's playing, and go kill him in it.
Be on him.
There you go. So also,
Egg his house.
I would hope that Big Boss X plays a lot of games online this week. Otherwise, it's not very good.
Great, he doesn't.
Yeah,
I bet it just translates to friends
vacation.
requests. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
It translates to friends requests more than it does actually showing up in your game killing you.
Probably, but still. I mean, if you, Anyway, tournament winners. Do we have any?
Yeah. So Beast786 announced to me. I think let's see, today or something. Yeah, that they're now doing a huge tournament in the on their community challenges where they have Team USA versus Team The World, and he actually has like this whole map worked out where like this one team is like starts at USA and they fight. In each game they fight for different countries, and
USA.
they see like it's basically like a game of Risk except playing games.
That's pretty rad.
It seems really cool. It looks like an awesome time. And
what game are they playing?
Well, it just depends. Like each time they fight for a country, they play a different game, I assume. So last week, Team The World won Africa. And I just think that's hysterical. And the MVP of Team World was, again, ProvoFan9 in a game of Resistance.
Dude,
that guy
it's Pro
seems like
Evo.
Pro Evo?
Yeah, it's Pro Evo fan,
Whatever.
not Provo fan.
Well, kind of looks the same. But Pro
With
Evo
an
Fan
E.
9.
Provolone.
How
Provolone fan.
Provo
That's a good. Sit on
cheese.
that one for a PSN hit next
All right,
week.
that one's
does
next week.
Provo spell his name, though?
Pro Evo.
No. As in, like, the football player, Provo.
What?
Isn't there a guy named...
Whatever.
you can-
Keep
You're
going.
thinking of Brett Favre.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking of... I thought there was a football player. You can see how much
Think
I
of
know
Michael
about
Andretti,
sports.
and he's a racer.
There's, like, no similarity in the name there. Anyway,
I know. That's what I'm saying. You're so far off.
I know.
Or Jeff Probst
I just
from Survivor.
hate
That could be it.
sports. But anyway,
Or Provo, Utah.
Pro Evo fan. There we go. Kind of looks like Provo, though. But anyway, good game with Resistance Fault, man. I give you a round of applause for winning Africa.
There you go.
For Team the World.
Do you have the details on how people, where this is set up and how people can get into these tournaments and go become a part of this community?
There's a link here that I'm assuming if you guys want, you could probably talk to Beast786 because it seems like he is the one that organizes these.
Mm-hmm.
But he has a link here, which I mean it's too long, so I don't want to read it out.
I'll read it. It'd be funny. No, actually, I'm not gonna read it.
But I would suggest going into the PS3 lobby, and they organize a lot of their stuff right in the lobby boards. And so this is not an insider exclusive thing. You can actually just head into the lobby and check it out, and you should be able to get hooked up there.
Very good. Go fight the world or the United States, depending on where you are located.
Terrorist.
And be
And if you're-
colonialist
If you're in Africa, I'm sorry you got taken over.
by the world.
By Provolone
Sorry,
fan.
Provo fan, for mispronouncing your name like 4,000 times.
You just did it again. You don't even
yeah.
care. You
That's
just
why.
slapped him in
That's
the
why
face.
I was being funny. Clearly, you didn't understand my sophisticated
I
sense of
didn't.
humor.
Obviously, you're on a different level than me.
I think that brings us to the end of the show.
Yep.
Anybody have anything to add?
Beyond.
Beyond.
That sounds good. Who's got the song?
That's me.
What is it going to be?
This
Let's
is
hear.
going out to Ian Anderson, who emailed me a while ago. And I'm sorry, Ian, but I don't know Moment or Kazuma, which are both Gundam songs, because I am not a Gundam fan. You know Gundam, right, Roper?
I
So
don't watch it. I've heard of the name.
I'm going to sing this
I know
one
they make.
instead.
I know there's games based on it,
You guys ready?
and they're not very good.
Boom 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 boom. I think it's about time to blow this scene. Get everybody and stuff together now. Boom boom. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Beyond.
Yeah, you got to work beyond in there. All right. Thanks everybody for listening.
Maybe look for us next week.
Yeah, next week's TBD. It's E3. Even if we're not around, there's gonna be lots of stuff for you to read anyway. But we'll see you either next week or the week after. Beyond E3.
Beyond D3.
Beyond.